Today we are pulling from the pantry and going to be making one of my favorite dishes. It's supper time and we're going to be making good old beef stir fry. Now you can use pretty much any kind of cut of beef that you want, or you can use chicken or pork with this marinade, but we're going to be making a marinade first. And this is probably about 1.5 pounds of a sirloin steak from that beef, half a beef that we had butchered, and I cut it up in thin strips. So what I want to do is I want to put it in a marinade, and then I want it to marinate for a couple hours. So we're going to start out with 1/2 cup of water, and I've got about 4 teaspoons of garlic. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's really good. And I've got 1/2 cup of soy sauce. And this is low sodium soy sauce. I've got 1/3 cup of brown sugar, and it's packed brown sugar. Not 1/3 cup, I've got 1/4 cup, I'm sorry. That's 1/4 cup of packed brown sugar. And then I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of ginger powder in here. And if you use fresh ginger, it usually takes about double of the powdered ginger. So that's all there is to that. If you want to, you can put you a little bit of red pepper flakes in here if you like a little bit of spice to it. Me and Danny's pretty timid on the hot spicy stuff. We just can't hardly do it anymore. But I mean, I love the taste of it, but it's just that little bit of spice at the end that I can't handle. So we're just going to pour all this over our meat, and then I'm going to put this in the refrigerator. I'm going to let it marinate for a couple hours, or if you want to, you can even let this marinate overnight. And like I said, you can do this with chicken or pork. You can do it with stew meat, any kind of beef that you got. And you see all that garlic in there. And that's just going to infuse and just, that beef's going to soak up all that goodness. We're going to start out by cooking our meat. And it's not going to take long to stir fry this meat up. It's cut up thin, and you just don't want to cook it to death or it'll be tough. So I got me just a little bit of olive oil in my hot saute pan. You don't want to crowd your meat too much. I think I can get it pretty much all in there though without crowding it too much, that way to cook up. Shouldn't take more than 5 or 6 minutes to stir fry this meat and get it done. Sometimes I've used even a piece of round steak, cut it up thin. I've used stew meat, cut it up, you know, smaller pieces, like chicken, pork. I've even took a pot roast and cut it up thin pieces and made fajita meat out of it. But this was I usually get quite a few sirloins cut out of my beef when I get half a beef. So I'm going to save about 2 tablespoons of this marinade and throw the rest away, because I'll stir just a little bit of cornstarch in with the 2 tablespoons of the leftover marinade. So we're just going to let this stir fry and brown up really good. And we'll start with our vegetables. Now, I just went in, when I say I work from my pantry, I'm talking about my freezers and my refrigerator too, because that's a part of my pantry. So I went into my freezer and I found quite a few bags of frozen vegetables that I need to use really bad. I'm going to try to coat the bottom of my Dutch oven here. And I have got a bag, I found one bag of Chinese stir fry that has a few green beans and peppers and stuff like that in it. Now, this bag that I opened, it does have a little bit of frost on, a little bit of ice, but it's not freezer burnt yet. You can always tell when something's freezer burnt by the way it's discolored. But this is not freezer burnt. It's just, it does need to be used though. I'm going to put a teaspoon of minced garlic, and I'm just going to let that cook for about a minute. Yes, this dish has a lot of garlic in it. Garlic's good for you, and we love it. And so the garlic come from my garden and then come from the refrigerator. This is the stir fry mix, and like I said, it needs to be used because it does have some ice crystals on it. And but it's still good. It'll still cook up good because I've used them like this before it just started getting freezer burn, and it's always okay. I've also got a bag of broccoli that needs to be cooked. It's got a little bit of ice on it, but it's not turning colors or nothing. It's still good. Now, I also have a few fresh vegetables in my refrigerator that need to be used. So I'm going to be pulling them out and slicing them up too. I've got some button mushrooms that need to be used, and I have some more red bell peppers that are starting to go the other way. So I'm going to slice them up and throw them in there too. So you just go through your freezer and your refrigerator and find whatever veggies that you can find, whether it be from the store or your garden, and just throw it in there and make you a good stir fry. I mean, you don't have to be particular with everything. You just use whatever you got. Any kind of vegetables. I like making stir fry with even cabbage. I'm going to put just a little bit of salt and pepper on here before I go and start cutting on my fresh vegetables. I like to season everything. So we'll just let that cook for just a little bit. I'm going to add just a little more olive oil to it. You could add carrots, snap peas, water chestnuts, just anything that you've got in your pantry. Green beans, peas. Sky's the limit on a stir fry, y'all. And it's just one of my favorite dishes. So let's let this cook, and then we're going to add some mushrooms. Some of the mushrooms I ended up having to throw away. They were getting just a little bit not so good. But I saved these, and they're good. And we're going to use them. Put some more red bell pepper in there, and look how pretty that is. It's appetizing to the eyes, and it's just a really good, healthy dish. So it'll take just a little while. I'll put some more salt and pepper on this, and this will take just a little while to soften up. And you don't want it just cooked to death, but take the crispiness off of it and cook it through. There's our meat. It's done. Our vegetables are pretty much done. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm fixing to make me a sauce. Well, Miss Lori, I don't have anything to make a sauce. I bet you do, because I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I have got a quarter of a cup, of homemade plum jelly that my friend Debbie sent home with me. And it is delicious. And I'm going to use that whole rest of that jar. It's about a fourth of it. We're going to say that it's about a fourth cup. And the bottom, I made a little well in my bottom of my pan. Now I'm going to put a teaspoon of garlic on that. And we're just going to let this cook down. And what your jelly will do, your plum jam will do, it'll kind of melt down. And it's going to make this really good sauce for these vegetables. I know you're thinking, oh, that's going to be so sweet. No. I guarantee you, I use fig jam, I use apricot jam, I use peach jam, and stuff like that for making a wonderful sauce for my stir fries. And like I said, it was just a fourth a cup. You've seen how much. And it's already breaking down and already just kind of melting into our vegetables. And it's going to be oh so good. Now at this point, if you wanted to, with your vegetables, if you wanted to put a little bit of red pepper flakes, you go ahead. Because I know some of y'all really like that spice. But you can add a little bit of ginger to your vegetables, stuff like that. But this is pretty much the way we like it. And I guarantee you, you make you a little bit of sauce, just like I did with some homemade jam. You're going to love it. I'm just going to throw my meat in here. You can see that it's cut in really thin strips. And that will just go ahead and heat my meat through again, and the vegetables will continue to saute, stir fry, and it's pretty much, it don't take long, it'll be done. I like my vegetables to be really tender, but not just cooked to death. So let's get started on our rice. I'm just going to use my pan over there that I cooked my meat in. I want you to look how pretty this dish is going to be. And it's just anything that I have pulled out of my pantry. It can be done in so many different ways. So good. So I'm going to get my rice out. I'm going to coat the bottom of my saute pan. This pan is from Walmart. It's from Time and Table. That is the company that makes it. It's non-stick, but it's not Teflon. It's not all that stuff that's not good for you. It's a very good. I love this brand. A lot of people would ask me where I got some of these pans, and this is Time and Table from Walmart. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw me a little bit of frozen peas and carrots in here, because I love peas and carrots in my stir fry rice. Now this is optional. Y'all don't have to do this. And I probably I'm going to put about a fourth of a cup of it. And I do the same thing with my Mexican rice, my Spanish rice. I always put just a little bit of peas and carrots in it. My peas and carrots have sauteed for just a couple of minutes. And now I'm breaking up my cooked rice. Now y'all that have been with me for a while know that when I cook rice, I cook a lot of it at a time. And then I bag it up and I put it in the freezer for when I need it, just for stuff like this. And it makes the best fried rice. So I'm going to just kind of break it up. Sometimes it wants to stick together in little clumps. I think an old video, I showed y'all how I put my rice up, and I pretty much just kind of, after it cools off a little bit in the pan, but still while it's warm, I'll spread it out on a cookie sheet and kind of separate it as much as I can. Then I'll stick it in the freezer, flash freeze it before I put it in my bags. But I'm just going to let this cook for a little bit, let it stir fry. Now this is my fried rice seasoning, and I made this homemade. And what I'm going to do is use, and I put on my jar how much to use, and it's 1 tablespoon, and I've got about 2.5 cups of rice, maybe 3 cups, but I think that's about 2.5 cups of rice. Usually I put 2 cups of rice per bag, but this is just a little bit more. But I put a tablespoon of my stir-fried rice seasoning on that, and I will put the recipe for that seasoning down in my description box below my video with the recipe of my stir fry. So I hope this is giving y'all some ideas of how you can pull from your pantry and make you a wonderful dish like Pantry Stir Fry. Now we're not done, because we're going to be adding some egg to this too. I have to have scrambled eggs in my stir-fried rice, and I think a lot of y'all like it that way too. So this is done. Our veggies and meat are done. It's smelling so good. Okay, I took the 2 tablespoons of leftover marinade and a tablespoon of cornstarch, and I'm going to put this in here, and this ain't going to take but just a minute. Now I've got my burner very low, and I'm just going to, what this does is it just kind of makes a thick sauce and just kind of just brings all that together, and it just makes it that much more yumminess. Now, do you have to do that? No. But it's just one step that I like to do. So you can pretty much at this point, after you've cooked that for just a minute or so, turn your burner off. My rice is pretty much done. And I'm going to mix up some eggs. I'm just going to scramble a few eggs. We love eggs in our fried rice. And, you know, when you're making fried rice like this, and you put some vegetables in it, and you put some eggs in it, you could eat this right here, and it would be very sustainable, very, it would just fill your belly. It would fill a child's belly and get them full, and it would be a good dish. You know, if you didn't have much in the house, if you didn't have a lot of groceries, if you just had enough in your pantry for something like this, it would be by itself, without even the meat and the vegetables, with the egg in it, would be a sustainable meal. And that's what a pantry is all about, is making sustainable meals and dishes for your family. So our egg is pretty much done. I turned it down on low, and now I'm just going to kind of stir this egg in there with the rice. And I also want to tell you that I had probably a tablespoon of amino acid, or you can use what I like to use is low sodium soy sauce, or you can use amino acids, whichever you got. And I think I put about a teaspoon. That was what was left in the bottom of my little jar, and I threw it in there with the rice along with my stir fry rice seasoning. I didn't show putting it in there, but I did. I put just a little bit of soy sauce in there. You can put a little bit of sesame seed oil, whichever you prefer. So this dish is pretty much done, and it's going to be wonderful. So here it is. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed making our pantry stir fry with me. I think Paul kind of likes the stir fry too. It got him up and dancing.